Norma, appreciate you being on. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is just a quick little simple, just pre-framing what I'm going to be discussing this next Friday. I'm going to be trying to, on a consistent basis, go live here on Facebook on Fridays. Facebook on Fridays, Wellness with the Wild Doc, and Freak Out Fridays. I'll probably freak out on somebody about something, coronavirus included. But we're going to be talking about so I did part one last Friday and got cut off for whatever reason. I don't know whether it's censorship or what it is, but the reality is I'm going to be going through a research document. The research study is titled, and it's a great one for everybody to read. It was just published, literally published June of this year. It's Thyroid-Gut-Axis. Everybody understands, or most people, or a lot of people, maybe not everybody. I mean, I kind of assume just in my world and the friends and people that I hang out with and associate with do have a great foundational knowledge and understanding of the way the body functions. A lot of people have heard about the gut-brain axis and then how healing the gut can have positive impacts on brain function, cognitive improvements, resolution of chronic unexplainable depression that's not a situational depression, such as a loss of a loved one or family member, relationship, that type of thing. But this is the thyroid-gut-axis. How does the microbiota influence thyroid function? It's a great article. So many good things in this. A buddy of mine, Dr. Jeremy Maxwell, he clued me in on this research study, and that's what the Wellness Way docs always do for each other, is we help our colleagues help other people. So if you're a Wellness Way client right now, go ahead and give me a green heart in the comments here on Facebook. And if you're not, just give me a red heart. If you like the information, you love the information, that type of stuff, and just give me a thumbs up if you don't like it. Give me a thumb down. I don't really care what you do. But anyways, he clued me in on it, and this is where Wellness Way docs, if you're a client of the Wellness Way or a patient of one of the Wellness Way docs, you know what, you're not just a patient of one single isolated human being doctor trying to help and care for you. You're really your health is influenced positively by the collective education, knowledge, and efforts of all the Wellness Way docs, including myself, Dr. Patrick Flynn, Dr. Jeremy Maxwell, Dr. Greg, Dr. Jason, Courtney, Justin, listen to a bunch of my close friends, Dr. Brian, all these guys, all these gals, Dr. Nicole Selesky, all of them are going to help in gathering information to better treat or assist you with your health. So that's why it's just an awesome experience and opportunity. It's just awesome. And it gives you the opportunity to truly heal, because we're going to work together to find out the causes and study and research and bring up information and give that to others. So really cool stuff coming down the pipeline here. We'll be doing our second part of the thyroid-gut-axis and talking about the research there. But I also we got a question last week, which another thing that I'm going to be doing is in comments on Facebook. When I get comments and questions on a Friday, what I'm going to do is try and take those comments and questions and on Monday gather them together, or the next week before the following Friday, and I'm going to try and answer as many questions as I can. So I've got quite a few that I'm going to be answering. One of which that I've already taken a look at was a lady talking about how she had a UTI, urinary tract infection, and then she was given a medication. More than likely, she didn't say what medication, but she was given a medication, and a drug-induced lupus is what she said. She said she suffered with drug-induced lupus after treating a UTI with a medication. More than likely, it was an antibiotic. How in the world with an antibiotic? This is the type of information I'm going to be going over on Fridays. All right? So tune in noon Central Standard Time on Fridays on the regular. So how in the world would somebody's lupus rear its ugly head after taking antibiotic? Let me read you this. And this is in relationship to the microbiota and I'll just read this. Intestinal influences on thyroid function. But how does it influence thyroid function? Yeah, there's absorption issues and nutrients and vitamins and those types of things. But one of the largest influences of the gut on the thyroid function is through the immune system, is in relationship to what your gut health does to your immune balance and immune health. So the microbiota of the gut health regulates homeostasis, the balance, and just everything's taken care of. Everything's in balance. Everything's where it's needed. It's perfect homeostasis. And that can maintain when you're under stress or not under stress. It can regulate accordingly to adapt to the stressors you're under. That's what you want. But development of the immune cells modulates both innate and adaptive immune system, fundamental for the development of gut-associated lymph tissue. That lymphatic tissue called GALT, gut-associated lymph tissue, where 70% of your entire immune system is situated. That's what they average if you took like the weight of your immune cells throughout your entire body, and those that were in the gut-associated lymphatic system, then what they would find is about 70% of that would be in the gut-associated lymph tissues. So the GALT plays an important role in the development of tolerance to self-antigens. And also the gut microbiome, the good bacteria, they produce, upon consumption of resistant starches, certain fruits, vegetables, things like that containing resistant starches, they produce short-chain fatty acids. These fatty acids are anti-inflammatory, they're immunoregulatory. They actually help in producing and creating the necessary numbers of what's called T regulatory cells. And T regulatory cells are doing what is literally their title is, they help to regulate. And when you look at autoimmunity is really the dysfunctional regulation of your immune system. So there are things that can be taken, given, consumed, injected, ingested, and ultimately even traumas that can initiate autoantibodies. So this development of an anti-nuclear antibody and ANA positive testing, and then you could go diving deeper into testing just tissue specific autoimmune antibody testing. But the reality is you can develop these autoantibodies, and what you can have is an autoimmune relationship. You can have an autoimmune underlying factor. And I want to say that specifically because you could have autoantibodies, but not a full-blown autoimmune disease. You can have rheumatoid factors, you can have factors of lupus, you can have thyroid TPO antibodies, all thyroglobulin antibodies. You can have all these different autoimmune antibodies, but never actually have a full-on developed autoimmune condition because you have the necessary numbers and function of your T regulatory cells, or you have a greater capability of self-tolerance. What's that mean? It means that you're able to tolerate your own tissues better, and your immune system can tolerate having a level or a higher level of autoantibodies. So your immune system has been kind of trained to say, hey, these tissues are bad and they need to be destroyed and flagged for destruction. But you can be tolerant of that and not actually cause the destruction of those tissues, not destroy your entire thyroid, as long as your gut's healthy, all right? And that's one component. That's not guaranteed that that's all that's necessary, because you can have a really healthy microbiome, in essence, but be majorly deficient in vitamin D and other things that are necessary because of poor nutrition. But really, you couldn't have a healthy gut without good nutrition, because good nutrition, what you feed yourself is what you feed your gut bugs, and they only maintain their health and balance if you're eating the right things for your system. So, but that T regulatory, so how in the world did this woman wind up, and I want to answer this question and many others before we go into more of that hardcore rest of the research that I started last Friday. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch last Friday, tag a friend or family member in those videos if they're dealing with thyroid issues or been diagnosed with hypothyroidism. If you haven't had your gut tested, please reach out to us and get your gut tested if you've ever been diagnosed with a thyroid condition or an autoimmune condition in general. Because the GALT, the gut-associated lymph tissue, all right, which makes up about 70% of your immune system, which is largely dependent for the generation and production and maintenance of T regulatory cells, because of the anti-inflammatory short-chain fatty acids are needed to produce and keep up that number of T regulatory. Guess what? You take an antibiotic, you destroy your gut. Why are antibiotics, the more rounds you're on, and also why are antibiotics and infections associated with the development of an autoimmune condition, the full-blown symptomatic autoimmune response? It's because when you destroy the good bacteria in your digestive tract, it can no longer produce or assimilate or absorb and utilize or break down the things that you need to be able to break down, to assimilate, to absorb. For them to create, all these things are necessary or only occur and are necessary for your health and for you to suppress a full-blown expression of autoimmunity. So when you destroy the gut with an antibiotic, it literally lifts the veil. It removes the barrier that self-tolerance capability of your body. So your body can no longer self-tolerate, can no longer tolerate an autoantibody status within your bloodstream, within your body. So your immune system can no longer tolerate it. Your T regulatory cells plummet. Your anti-inflammatory production of short-chain fatty acids is depleted because you destroyed your gut because you wanted to get rid of a UTI. You wanted to get rid of the cold or flu bug. You got an antibiotic for an ear infection. All of these reasons, drugs should be the last resort. But sadly, way too many people are suffering with severe illnesses and they're being brought into the symptomatic world of an autoimmune condition because of antibiotics. And many people are dealing with autoimmunity and hypothyroidism because of unhealthy status of their digestive system, their gut. So digestion is so important. The health of your gut is critically important. And if you never had your gut tested, you got to get it tested. Like it's a foundational piece of my health. It's a foundational piece of the health of my wife and my kids, our family, what we feed our body and how we take care of our gut. I mean, I've got a brand new gut test here, and the reality is I do that on the regular so that I can tune or fine tune my gut health. I used to deal with severe IBS irritable bowel syndrome, and I've got another parasite that's kind of difficult for myself to heal or get rid of. So I'm going to go back through a more intensive phase and utilizing additional things to help clear that parasite. But the reality is people need to understand how their body works, how important the proper testing is, what are the underlying factors and causes of things like Hashimoto's disease and hypothyroidism, because there's a lot of women out there, and women I'm speaking because that's the majority of cases and individuals dealing with thyroid conditions, they're dealing with, most of them are women, all right? And there's a lot of women still suffering despite their lab work looking better because their doctor put them on Synthroid, a synthetic thyroid hormone, and they didn't get better. They changed the blood work. They changed a number on a lab test. Ladies, how many of you can relate to what I'm saying specifically? How many of you out there, give me a comment, say, yeah, that's me. The doctors say that I had hypothyroidism. They gave me a drug. They said it's all looking better, but I don't feel better. I hear that all the time. I'm on a drug. They say my labs are looking better. My labs are looking good, but I don't feel good. I don't feel like I'm better. And that's a sad reality because that's what I'm going to, I can't go into too much more, but the reality is, bring your questions because we're going to be taking questions and things like that and transferring them over to the following episodes and things like that. So answering more questions, being more engaged with you all out there to help you get well and get healthy. As I say, I kind of want to take the legs out from underneath the big pharmaceutical companies by getting you healthy. So if we can get you healthy, get you to where you no longer need your medications because now you're actually healthy and you corrected the underlying causes with proper testing protocol and lifestyle adjustments, guess what? Well, then you ain't paying big pharma to feed you them drugs, and they ain't got the money to lobby and force vaccinate our kids and all that stuff. Just think of the grand things that we could do if we were all a lot healthier and knew how to get healthy and how many people wouldn't be suffering just for the benefit of the individual not having to suffer. I think that's why I'm going to be talking in depth, reading you this research to a degree and explaining how you can apply it to your life. So tune in at 12. That'll be noon Central Standard Time on Fridays. We're going to be trying to go live as frequently as humanly possible until we get censored, I guess, and kicked off Facebook. But love you all. Appreciate you all. Tag a friend. Don't just like this. Don't just hit the share. Share it to specific groups. Share it with friends. Message it to people because the reality is we're getting massively censored. My reach is just getting suppressed like crazy on Facebook. So, but I do appreciate everybody that's helped get this word out and get the truth out because that's the way we save lives. Love you all. Take care.